Turn your porch lights off because we're coming home with a trophy.
Hey there, what's going on? SharkCast Pod Live. There is all sorts of drama. There is drama with the football team, with the game, with the results, with my internet. Worlds are melting down, and I expect you to melt down with me. My name is Sam Shinazzi, OG 2015 SharkCast Pod, brought to you by Dyson Logistics, the legends at the Royal Motor Yacht Club in Port Hacking, and Jason Hawes at Crips and Crips Real Estate. I hope that this show can be powered by enough juice to get us across the line. If I'm glitchy, if I'm whatever, let's just go with it. Don't worry about it. Feel free to join on the show. You're not allowed to swear. I can see people lining up ready to swear. You're not allowed to swear. I'm looking at you two right there who I'm going to let on the show in a second. Sharks lose 34-28. I missed the last 3 or 4 minutes because of a wipeout in my house, but I know what happened. And I'm going to bring in some people to talk about it in a second. Feel free to join us. We'll talk about it all. I'm going to bring in a gentleman who's not there. His name is Lush, and he's from Melbourne town. How are you, brother?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you? I'm just out walking the dogs after that diabolical second half performance.
So, I mean, there was so much to like for so long.
It was either throw the coffee mug.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, it was either throw the coffee mug over the balcony and start swearing, or take the dogs for a walk. We've gone with the walk.
Okay. We might have a bit of a delay here, but I appreciate that. Hope the dogs are doing well. Lish, what happened in your opinion? Because there was so much to like there for so long. And then after the Brayley try, I thought, well, we're kind of home here, more or less. Long way to go. And then it just went pear-shaped. Tell me what you thought happened.
And I feel like at about 10 minutes into the second half, we got Katoa back on the field. Everyone took a deep breath. And then things didn't go right for us, and we panicked. We have no game management in our team. It's kind of wild, to be honest with you. It's just pure panic.
Yeah, so I was doing a live thing with Dan Nichols, and I said, we need leadership here. And Brayley stepped up, scored that try. But then from there, I'm at a bit of a loss, my friend, and it's a super costly win. And then we come down to play you guys next week in Melbourne.
I just want us to play 80 minutes just once this year, Sam. Just one 80-minute game, please.
Yeah, it's not that much to ask, is it?
I got all of my anger and frustration out when we played those 2 diabolical losses against the Roosters and the Warriors. So now I'm just like, I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed.
That's good. That's good. I'm somewhere in between there, but it's not good enough, and we saw it from the Katoa sin bin. We saw it from the sort of Ronaldo kick defense. We saw a few of those things go against us, and then they couldn't defend their errors, and it just wasn't good enough. And they they were looking so good for so long, and then it just sort of fell apart.
Yeah. It's almost like we had a game plan, and then the first half ended, and we forgot what that game plan was. How important do you think Teague Wilton being off for the rest of the game was for us?
It's definitely significant. I don't know if it's a major reason, but I'll say he was playing really, really good down that left edge.
Oh, we keep on losing you, mate.
That's okay. Yeah, he was playing really good down the left edge, I thought. So it was significant.
Yeah. I think Puru did well. I think I think it was a really good start from him. Toby was on fire. Mate, Talakai was on fire. Adam Fanua Blake was a little bit quieter today, I thought.
Yeah.
But my God, when's Blake Brayley going to get that New South Wales call up, man? He was absolutely incredible today in a losing team.
Yeah, he was. He was really great, especially that sort of first opening 50 minutes. And Fanua Blake, just for the record, 12 runs, 140 meters, 4 tackle busts. He played for probably 60, 65 minutes. So he did all right. But I know what you're saying. I think just in that last 25 minutes, they all just kind of went to the wall.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, they just looked exhausted, man. They looked exhausted. By about the 65-minute mark, they looked like they were spent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of like me walking up this hill with the dogs.
Now, I am getting a lot of messages about a few refereeing calls. The one that people have a problem with, and I actually have a problem with, is the Jesse Colquhoun not square at marker. He was definitely square. And, you know, like it's wrong, but it's also not 6 points losing a game wrong. Like it wasn't, like I know I didn't come at a good point and everything fell apart, but I can't blame it on that. But I did think there was a few things that didn't go away.
Yeah, look, I think there was a couple of calls there where if we were wearing a Penrith jersey or a Melbourne Storm jersey, it might have gone the other way.
Yeah, yeah, but I certainly cannot blame ref for that.
Absolutely not. Now, look, I mean, for those who want to blame the ref, and look, there are inconsistencies in our game. Thank the gods it wasn't Ashley Klein on that game, because it probably would have been a blowout. But there are definitely inconsistencies in our game. In the penalties, I just think we have to play over them. We have to be able to play past those penalties. You know, the good teams do, and that's why they're the good teams.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah, man. Really, really, really disappointing game. But
yeah. Yeah. Well, it's all about you this week, man. We're coming down to your town to play, and goodness knows what's going to happen there. But obviously, it's become a must-win game. So good luck to everyone with that. We will talk to you during the week. You're going to appear on our show, which is fantastic. And you enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, brother. Love your work. I'll see you next week.
Thank you, man. Talk to you soon. That's Lush from Melbourne. Boy, oh boy. Sharks lose 34-28. And I kid you not, I didn't even get to see the last few minutes. And I knew, well, I saw bits. I shouldn't say I didn't see it, but it was not a great afternoon here. We're doing the best we can. Pete says rinse and repeat. That's what will be said in the presser. Matt also says Jessica Colquhoun not a penalty. Danny and who else have we got here? Danny and someone else not happy with Fitzy. Brad says we aren't a very good team. Why are we surprised? 1 or 2 stars, maybe a bunch of squad fillers. Yeah, I mean, I think, Brad, that's slight emotion talking after the game. I think that they had everything there to win for, and they had the game plan to win, and they couldn't pull it off. And they, as a team, I don't think it was 1 or 2 guys. As a team, they fell apart. Appreciate you being in touch. Pete hits the nail on the head. He said, we led 28-12. I don't think you can ref fault this one. And I agree. I agree completely. I was just pointing out one refereeing decision, which was wrong. But I agree with you completely. Bo says, can't keep saying in Fitzy we trust when he keeps picking Atkinson. So, yeah, the two smaller forwards, well, the two smaller players on the bench certainly wasn't very, very helpful at times in the game. Josh says, discipline is our Achilles heel week after week, year after year. Did it ourselves again. Need some renewal in key positions. 12 players off contract at the year's end may allow us to do that. The discipline was particularly bad in that. When was it? Towards the end of the first half, maybe, with the 6 agains and that kind of thing, and it fell apart in the second half. Appreciate that, Josh. Paul says, my mail was that Atco was in as Alec and 17 as Talakai has an ankle injury. If Fitzy wants Atco on the 17, why not bench Nico to the Jets and play Atco at 7? Well, that's not probably going to happen, Paul. And I thought both halves had good moments today, but they fell apart for sure. I'm going to bring in the next person in our line, and that is Corey. Hey, Corey, how are you? Bad
Good,
question
Sam,
to
how
ask,
are
I
you?
guess.
Oh,
Look,
that was-
I'm a little stressed. There's a lot going on here. I'm a little stressed, but I can you hear me okay? You can see me all right-ish?
Yep, no, all good.
Okay,
Yep,
beautiful.
fine.
Look, what did you make? Tell me why it went wrong, because as I keep saying, it kind of was going right for a while. Tell me where it went wrong.
I feel like that, like you said before, we had a game plan set out. We played it the first half, and then I feel like Brisbane started reading our game plan too well. And then I feel like that instead of playing the same game plan, we should have tried to change up a little bit. We in the first half with one game plan, Brisbane started to read it. We didn't have enough time to change it, and it just blew up in our faces.
Yeah.
I'm when we were 28-18 up, I started thinking to myself, surely we can hold on. Like, surely we've got the players, we've got the defense to do it. And I don't know if we went out there thinking that we are going to hold on. I don't know if it was players tired. I don't know if it's leadership. I just don't know what went wrong. I feel like a couple of the brain snaps didn't help us, especially Katoa's one. That was just, I was more annoyed with Katoa's brain snap than I was with Mulatalo's knock on.
Yeah, of course. Now, they actually got away with the Katoa thing in the moment. Like, the 10 minutes was actually good for them. But do you think there was a chance maybe they were more gassed, and when he came on, like, that affected them? I don't know. Like, they had to defend with 12 men. That's not always good fun. But there was actually no excuses at that point, because he came back on and we were winning. Scored a try.
Yeah, and I actually didn't realise until the second half how much we missed Teague Wilton. Not having him in the side, he just, like, his attack is good, but just he gets down in defense. Like, I noticed a couple of times in the first half he was putting on some of the biggest shots. Like, he was putting on some. I didn't even see him go down. I listened to the commentary and they said that he went to hospital. I was like, oh, I didn't even see what happened to him. So I didn't even realise he wasn't there until halfway through the second half.
Yeah, right. Yeah, hopefully it's precautionary, but some sort of eye injury that took him to hospital.
They said on KO that he actually had blurred vision in his eyes.
Oh boy. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So it's not good.
Hopefully that's not as bad as what it sounds. Hello to our friend Kylie. She said the attack was on fire in the first half. It was, Kylie. We're just not confused with what happened in the second half, but appreciate you tuning in.
Where do you think it went wrong in the second half?
Oh, it's hard to pinpoint, dude. I think I like what you're saying about the game plan, because with these games against Brisbane, there's always sort of a 10-point buffer either side, and then either team comes back. It's happened over the last sort of 4 or 5 years. And with Brisbane, you have to go toe to toe with them. You just can't sit back and just do your thing. And I think we started doing that around the 60th minute mark or whatever that was, when they started coming back. And it just got us in the end. Like, we lost by 6. It was kind of that game. And I'm of the opinion we should have won by 6. We did enough to win the game, but I don't know. I don't know if the Teague thing affected us, because on that left side, we were already kind of weaker without Kailiro there. But just watching that first half, they were so dominant. And then start of the second half, they were dominant with 12 men. There's just no reason for this to happen, and that's what's kind of confusing for me. But
Yeah. I think
who stood out for you aside from Blake Brayley?
I reckon Toby Rudolph had a couple of good runs, especially when that dropout, that when Cattell put that kick in and Reece Walsh did the long dropout. The way Toby Rudolph ran is how I think every single one of our forwards should run every time they get the ball. He just come barnstorming in and just like come bolting in like a house on fire. That's I feel like he had some good runs. I feel like apart from that really rough penalty, I feel like Jesse Colquhoun as well. He was pretty good as well. Like I'm 50-50 about that call, but apart from that, he was pretty good in my eyes. And Talakai.
You're 50-50 on the call.
Yeah, well, see, in my opinion, I don't think it's a penalty, but you see them get blown in quite a fair few games. So, yeah, that's just obviously
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree, but just when you look at it, it's just like, hang on, he was square. Like that in that moment, that's a incorrect refereeing decision. But as we've already established, that's not why we lost. So I'm cool with that in a sense. I want to just have a comment here from Jordan, because I think there's a bit of not from Jordan, but a bit of a misconception that I don't talk about controversial stuff or whatever. So here's from Jordan. He said, it's time to call it for what it is. Do not defend Hines, Kennedy, Fitzgibbon, or a single player associated with the team. They are pathetic, spineless, and instill with an infixable level of mediocrity that seeps through. So Jordan's very upset. I get it. First of all, I think that's an incorrect call, saying that every player associated with this team is like, I think that's just emotionally over the top. I thought Hines and Kennedy had really good first halves.
Yeah.
And along with a bunch of guys that fell apart in the second half. However, Jordan's probably saying, well, the spine's supposed to keep you in the game. And I agree with you. The spine is supposed to keep you in the game. We saw Tricky with a really bad kick that went out in the full. Again, he was lights out for a while, and it just sort of went downhill after that. So happy to call whatever you want to call, Jordan. But I personally, I didn't think it was a pathetic, spineless, unfixable level of mediocrity, because for 60 minutes, they look like world beaters. So that's where I kind of have trouble with those statements, but I appreciate you saying it. And we have Ghastly 10, who said everything went south from that bit of the square penalty. Yeah, and again, I understand that, but we can't blame it on that. But you're right. Everything did go down from there. And while I got this, Corey, I got you. John says, deflating game. Thoughts on moving Trindle and Nico, swapping them around. He disagrees with the fact it's just a number. Let Trindle run the team. Nico can run the ball. There are clutch moments where I believe Nico's first shot due to the number on his back. I believe there's a place in the team for Nico, but it needs to be as a ball running 6. Also, is it worth mixing up the captains, Trindle in for McInnes? Cheers. I have no problem with swapping them around at this point, John. I'm happy to do whatever is going to work for the team. I don't know if Trindle's ready to be captain just off the top of my head, but I appreciate that it's time to start looking around doing something a little bit different. I don't think it's time for mass changes. I don't think it's time to throw everything out. But as the coach says in a lot of the presses, we got to learn from this. Like, we really need to, because
definitely
that was a really winnable game today, and they didn't do it. Corey, before we go, tell me more things. What do you want to talk about?
Well, just on that comment about potentially swapping players and the captains and stuff, I would nowadays. I really don't think like swapping them 6 or 7 is going to help, because sometimes I notice that they do it quite a fair bit in game. With the captaincy, though, I personally, if he's fit and not injured, I would give the captaincy directly to Teague Wilton.
Nice.
And I would say if Teague goes off for a break or injured, that's when you give, and Cam McInnes is on, that's when you give him the reins for the time being while Teague's having a break or injured or whatever. If Teague's on the field and he's fit and firing, give him the captaincy, give him the reins.
Mhm.
Said this is your club to lead. Because I think he's going to be the next captain after Cam McGuinness retires. So I'm thinking, just give it to him early. Give it to him now.
Yep.
And the other comment too is one previously, like when he said don't defend Hines or Kennedy or Fitzgibbon or whatever. I'm just going to say this about Fitzy. If we still had Bomber Morris, I don't think half
Mhm.
these players would be at the Sharks, and I kind of think we'd be doing a lot worse. So
Okay, that's interesting.
I feel like having Craig Fitzgibbon from the Roosters and being one of the best players to ever play the game, in my opinion, back in that
Yeah.
good NRL era, he's been
Yeah.
able to bring in the caliber of players that we've had. I just feel like, I know John Morris was a 300-game veteran, but
Yeah.
when we had him as coach, kind of all he brought in was Sean Johnson, and then look how that kind of panned out. But
Well, I know what you're talking about as far as big name players go. Let's not forget he did bring in a lot of these younger guys who are now at the 50 and 100 games. So I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, Fitzy was brought in for a bunch of reasons, but one of the reasons that Morris was let go was the defense was going out the window. So, today, as Matt says on screen, 22 points in the last 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Drop balls, offloads, penalties. Another forward off the bench might have helped. So there's a lot to get through here and a lot to work out. We got 1 week exactly, and we're going to be running out against Melbourne in Melbourne, and that's the toughest road trip you can do. So
hopefully we bounce back.
Yeah. Hey, Corey, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for phoning in. Thanks for being an awesome guest and not even a hint of swearing. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with you and not swearing out of everyone in the world, because I think you were in my grill going, I want to swear. I want to swear. It's like, we can have an intelligent chat. We can be disappointed. We can get our feelings out without swearing, because there's people of all ages listening.
Just before
and as soon as, yes,
I'm actually, so I'm currently actually at home watching the game by myself. So I did get, I'm pretty sure the neighbors are going to call the police on me very, very
that's
shortly.
okay. That's a you thing. That's not a me thing. I'm cool with that.
No, but yeah.
But then as soon as you log off this, as soon as I get you out of this little studio, you can swear, you can yell, scream, do whatever you want, man. It's your life. We're all good.
I'm probably going to.
But I do appreciate you and appreciate your support. Thank you so much, brother. I'll talk to you soon. All right.
No worries, mate. Thanks for having me. Cheers.
Pleasure. Thanks, Corey. All right, we're going to try and do a bit more tech here and bring in Mr. Clinton Maynard from Radio 2GB. He and I historically do not have great internet connections, but being the professionals that, well, he is and I want to be, we'll make it work. Clinton, let's hear from you, my friend, when you're ready. Oh, boy.
Okay, I'm prone to exaggeration, Sam, but
I know
it's season over, and I say that, and in our group chat I was saying this throughout the game. I was actually happy with the way they played up until sort of midway through the second half. I think it's that they showed enthusiasm and energy that they haven't shown. Okay, yes, in the Dragons game at the start, but it disappeared pretty quickly in that first half. But it was the most vibrant they've played in weeks and weeks. It was like they get up for the big games away from home against the big teams and can't put in at home. So it was, what happened in the second half was pretty devastating, but you sort of felt it was also coming. And why I say it's season 8, you can't win the comp if you're not in the top 4.
Yep.
We're now 6 points out of the top 4.
Yep.
And it's disappearing quickly. So I can't see how we can get in the top 4 now. We should have been a top 4 side this year. We've got a better team on paper than we did last year, and we made the top 4. So when I say season over, I think we will make the finals. I think we'll be, between 6 and 8. But it doesn't matter, because something's got to change with the makeup of this team. It'll be now 4 years that Fitz has had this team together now. With making tweaks along the way, adding AFB which has been an outstanding purchase, but something's got to change. Maybe it's an assistant coach change. Maybe it's a captaincy change, has been, some of the guys have been alluding to. But we lack any ticker in games. When the going gets tough, and maybe this is exemplified by Nico, we don't stick in with teams when the going gets tough. And it's just bizarre given the nature of Fitz as a player.
Yeah. I don't know if an assistant coach or changing the captain's going to be, I don't want to be like dramatic and say enough. I just don't think it's going to be enough of a change as to what you want to see. I think we need something a little bit more dramatic, to be honest. And I don't know what that is, but, if we take the emotion out of what we just saw and we take out the meaning of it for later in the year and everything, they were close to winning a game and they bottled it. They blew it up. But I don't know. I don't know how to pinpoint one person or two people and say it was on them. A lot of people are saying it's a team mentality. I don't know if I agree with that. I was crying for leadership in the start of the second half, and we saw it from Blake Brayley, but we need more from others as well. And I don't know, man. It's a tough one. It's a tough one to lose. Those ones are a lot tougher than sort of the Roosters and Warriors games, because they were really good for a while in this game, and they really should have pulled it off. I mean, can you pinpoint it? I mean, I know we can talk about errors. So there's Trindle out in the fall. There's a Ronaldo error or two. There's a Kennedy error or two. There's a Katoa sin bin. But can you pin it on anyone in particular? Because I don't think I can necessarily.
No, I think your lack of leadership's spot on, and we've been seeing that all year. And I think that the problem, I think we like Fitz, but he is so unwilling to change from his formula. I think he just gets blinkered. And Atco is the biggest example. Having Atkinson on the bench there was a complete waste of time. We lose Teague Wilton, didn't help us having Atkinson on the bench. The Fox commentators made the point that midway through the second half, we had Puru, who I thought did well. We all called for him to be in the team. We had Puru, Atkinson, and McGuinness all on the field at once. I mean, will they go and bring Payne Haas out, who, okay, is an absolute superstar, $1 million front rower, but he's just played State of Origin, and he tore us to shreds. How was Atkinson? No offense to Atkinson, I'm sure he's a top bloke. He's going to the Dragons. Why is he in the 17 every week?
Yeah, and I think, I said I couldn't pinpoint it. I think that's where I'm pinpointing it, Clinton. It's when we were down to those three middles.
Just won't change.
Yeah, down to those three middles, and Haas comes back on and just destroys us. And when you have those three middles on there, it's hard to stop the guy that's twice as big as you. And I'm not sure. Someone hinted that maybe Talakai had an ankle injury or something, and he was there to cover him. But he's obviously been covering a lot of weeks now, so I don't really know the answer. But I think this is a week where you can kind of, if you're anti-Atco on the bench, you can kind of pinpoint that 10, 15-minute mark and go, having a bigger body there may have helped. I think in the past, your argument might be a bit wishy-washy, but today it was pretty evident that we were just lacking size. And I thought Hohepa was really good in the time that he got. I like what he did. I'd like to see some more of it. But just the attacking raids stopped. The defense and the offloads began to add up in the second half. And it was like they kind of ran out of energy. Like they used their energy up in the first 55 minutes, and then it was just sort of downhill from there. And it's a tough one, Clinton. I mean, where do we go from here? I know we got the Storm in a week's time. Tell me in all seriousness, Clinton, tell me what you would do next week. Tell me what you do with the team.
put out a reserve side, keep our stars in cotton wool to go hard against the Dolphins. We're going to get lapped next week. There's almost no point trying. I know that's not a mentality we should ever take. But the only reason we beat the Storm last year is because we shocked them by having Atco at halfback when no one knew what he was like, and there was a game day decision. It just shocked them.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen again this year. I don't know. The signs from Brayley in the last 2 weeks are outstanding. When he runs, it's just great.
Yeah.
You talk about captain, maybe Brock should be captain. I don't know, but I don't know, Sam. I don't know, but I think we as a fan base have to be realistic that we thought this was going to be our year and it now can't be. And it's such a disappointment because there's a premiership there to win.
Yeah.
Considering the Dogs, the Warriors, and the Canberra Rays all look certain now for the top four. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, so I think
the Storm beat the Rabbitohs by a point. Like, we've blown such a good opportunity.
I think the bigger concern there for me is why have the Warriors, Raiders, and who's the other team? The other team. Why have they gone forward and we haven't? Like that's for me the bigger question and concern.
Because I think, I'm losing you, Sam, so I'm not hearing your whole question, but
sure.
I think one of the reasons we're not going forward, is our group has now been together for 4 years under Fitz.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most of the players have peaked as players. We keep hearing that they've got to have 100 games under their belt. Well, we're all there now. And they're not improving any more, which I think means we've got the best out of it now. Maybe it needs roster regeneration in the off-season. Pretty hard to achieve. But there should still be a premiership window while ever we've got AFB there. And, Nico shows zero leadership, but maybe if Nico's a 5'8" and we can find a halfback who leads the team, maybe we should have put a bid in for Reynolds.
I mean, what did you make of those two halves, though, for the opening 60? Like, I thought they were pretty good. Like, at different times, they sort of both took the lead.
They were good. And the way this is the problem. They play good in patches, but a champion half stands up when the game's on the line. That's why Cleary's continually criticised for his Origin performances, because he's yet to actually take Origin by the scruff of the neck. At least he's done it at club level now, 4 years in a row. Neither of our halves stand up when it actually counts. And it didn't count until the back end of that second half. And, I can see Steve's just made a comment, how about a new number 7? But who is that new number 7? Like, who out there in the marketplace would be better than what we've got? Probably neither.
Yeah.
I don't know who it is. But, here's a fact.
Yeah.
There's been lots of discussion in the last 24 hours that if Nathan Cleary was out of Origin, who would come in? No one is talking about Nico coming in. They're all talking about Katoa, who's 21. That says a lot about where Nico's at the moment.
Sure.
I better leave you, Sam. My connection's pretty bad.
All right. Thank you, Clinton. You can hear Clinton 3 till 6 weekdays, 2GB, 873, or on the app or website. How was that, Clinton? Was that all right? All right. Got the thumbs up. See you, buddy. Talk to you soon. That's our friend Clinton Maynard. Sorry about the tech there, but we're doing the best we can here. That was on his end, I believe. Jay Rich is talking about a Trindle moment, which you can see on the screen, about a grubber that went wrong, and then a massive swing moment after that. I did want to point out something from Brett. Brett said, when the chips are down and backs against the wall, who is in the team that screams, stand there, do this, follow me, we're going this way? For me, it's really unclear, and I think that's pretty fair. And as I've said a few times, I thought Brayley was the guy today for a large part of the game, but he needs some help. That's for sure. If you want to jump on and have your say, just there's links in a few different places. Jump on. We do not allow swearing. That's the only thing. And I need to go say hello to my friends on the Insta. I've ignored you all. Melon13 says, appreciate the podcast every week. At least someone shark related makes an effort each week. Oh boy. Yeah, it feels like that sometimes as far as after a loss. Appreciate your support. Kapowie said, I'm sorry, bro. I'm not even ranting here. Fitz is done. Let's play a small. Yeah, he's not happy with the smaller subs. That's from Kapowie. Alex says, Atko, Puru, and Borelli at the same time versus the Brisbane huge pack was poor bench rotation. Our friend MD Horn also said it all went bad with Atko and McInnes together. And he also said we played better with 4 big forwards. Jay says we lost the game on the back of the Ronaldo knock on, then Chinook putting the ball out in the full. They scored off both plays. And I tend to agree. I'm not saying we lost it there, but I tend to agree that was pretty negative. Taylor has pointed out we have Melbourne in Melbourne next week. Thank you very much. 50% says complete horror show, lack of leadership. And the defensive efforts for the last 2 tries were soft. I have to be completely honest. I only saw the end of the last try being scored due to some stuff going on at my house. Luke says that was dreadful. Joe says only one half of footy again. Hello to the Cronulla Collector. Hello to everyone, I have to say. Drew says the Ronaldo knock-on turned the momentum. Jay said in the end, unforced errors changed the momentum. And he also can see Wilson being a captain in the future. I think that was Lush who said that, or one of the listeners. Maybe it was Corey. George said discipline is shocking. Hello to everyone watching on the Insta. George says Fitzy needs to drop people. Taylor says we need more leaders. Andy says, I was at the game. Haas was gone on the 15-minute mark and he still destroyed us. And he's not happy with the small, weak bench. Kev said maybe Brayley at 7, Cam to 9, Hines or Tricky to 6. I mean, I don't hate it, but I think we're getting very tricky there, but I don't hate it, and I appreciate you letting me know. Sharks lose 34-28. Let me look at some of these streaks here. When I say streaks, what happened? So the Sharks were leading 10-0 after 16 minutes. And then they scored in the 20th minute. Then we scored 2 tries. We're leading 22-6 after half an hour. 22-6. And then the dastardly Ezra Mam scored a try right on the bell. And then Katoa got sin binned. But they didn't score when Katoa was in the bench. In the bin, I should say. Brayley scored in the 47th minute. We're leading 28-16, 2 converted tries in the 54th minute. We didn't score a point after that. In the 54th, they had Shibasaki. 58th, Karapani. 68th, Karapani. 72, Shibasaki. And it looks like Reynolds kicked a lot of those conversions. Sharks lose 34-28. Completed at 75%, 27 of 36. 11 line breaks to 9 to the Broncos. There were 20 line breaks in this game. That's crazy. Sharks ended up missing 42 missed tackles, which is quite a lot, especially if there's going to be 11 line breaks. And in the end, they ended up running for a little bit more than us. We lost the penalty count 7-4. They had 3 resets. Set restarts to 1. We made almost double the errors. So it kind of magnified as the game went on, which is pretty disappointing. Now, what else have we got here? Everyone's being very kind to me, but not kind to our Sharks. Shane's not happy with the bench rotation and with Dan Atkinson on the bench. Dan points out 40 missed tackles. Yeah, I've got him at 42. Wesley, I can't use that line, but he said we are not very good. Steve, who's friend of the show, is suggesting maybe Ramey and Kennedy, Hines, Kafusi, McGuinness might want to look elsewhere. I think that's, I don't know if we have to blow up the team because I don't know what we're going to get in return. That's the problem with the very least of the problems. Terry said, I thought some crucial calls went against us. I think you're right, but you got to be able to defend those better. You got to be able to, we saw in the first half, they defended pretty good with like 3 or 4 repeat sets. And they crumbled with a dummy half try. And I can kind of live with that because they defended so well for so long. But when things go against you, you just got to be tougher. Nick said, to me, it was a bunch of small things, conceding a dummy half try, Trindle apologising for a kick, Mulatalo's drop, Trindle out in the full. They had the game. Yeah, I think that's perfectly fair and reasonable, Nick. Steve says, put Burns on the bench that covers middle and back row. Sean is breaking my heart. Contenders to pretenders. Heart broken. Appreciate you, Sean. Hope you're well. Adam says, change the half. Pete says, Brayley stopped running after his try. I think you're right. But we can't be negative against Brayley because he's one of the few shining lights at the moment. But yeah, when he runs, how good is it? Oh my God. Wesley said, only we can lose impossible games to lose. And he's pretty annoyed with the second half performance. This is one for our friend Dan Nichols. Bertie says, who are the 5-6 Jets players who've walked out of the club? I don't know. For once, I don't know something about our club. This is it, Nathan. Thank you. The Dogs, Raiders, and Warriors have all overtaken us regarding a premiership. The window is now closed. Oh, no. I don't want the window closed. Can't it just be a jar open? Those 3 teams have gotten better and we haven't gotten better. So I don't put lines through season at this point. There's still work to be done, still things we can do. But today was a game they should have won. I say that quite a lot when we lose, but today it was looking pretty good. And I could have probably tolerated it more if we were beaten by the team that was just so much better and we were really good the 80 minutes and we did our best, but we were nothing like what we were in the last 20 compared to the first 60. Dan says, it matters less if the halves are good in patches, easy times. It's about when the chips are down and keep going when it counts. Yeah, can't fault that. Lincoln is from Melbourne and said he's defended Nico forever, but tonight was not the night, and he's looking to move him on. So that's from Lincoln. Steve, our friend, is saying put Pollard in. It's way too soon, brother. You can't do that to him. You can't do it to the club. It's way too soon. Appreciate the sentiment, but we can't do it. Wesley thinks we can't make the 8 now, so I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think we can make the 8 or not? And I want you to take the emotion out of it and be the football smarts that I know you are in this instance only. Keep the emotion. I'm saying, can we make the 8 though, based on who we're playing? Danny says Pollard is not ready. Agreed. Dan says that Brayley should be captain. He's on the field the most and always in and around it. Yeah, I don't hate that at all. I think he'd do a good job. I know why we're going after the captaincy at the moment because of the leadership and that kind of thing, but I think you can be a leader without being a captain. But I understand that that's why you're saying that. Our friend Lucian in Melbourne, who starred in the show before, he was walking his dog. He said agree with Clinton Brayley to captain. CJ says, I love Britt, but there were 2 crucial missed tackles in the second half. Probably fatigue, probably due to our bench availability and options, but the top 4 is gone, unfortunately. Oh, CJ, appreciate you writing in, but that last sentence is killing me. Brett had a funny question about what the Sharks do at halftime. Just one sec, guys, while I do this. J. Rick said we need to go on a run. How do we do it? Can we do it? Might need a little change, but the boys' attitude also needs to be changed. Mid-year army camp or just a day session at Northies. I'm leaning towards a day session at Northies. Those mid-year army camps, those army camps any time of the year are pretty brutal on the body and the mind. I don't think it's what you need right now. I understand the idea behind it, but let's go for the day session at Northies. You know what? No day session at Northies. I take that back. Let's just train hard and play well. What went wrong out there? My God. They should have won this game. Like, we know that. Everyone knows it. I haven't seen the press conference, but I'm imagining the coach knows it, whether he's saying it or not. The game was there to be won. Brisbane are really good, but they're not that good. And they weren't that good today. Anonymous 1234. You don't have to be anonymous, but hello, Anonymous 1234. Said the bench looked a little bit weak. Shane says, I hate to say it, but we had some very bad ref calls. Yeah, we've talked about that, Shane, and we're not disputing that, but that's not why we lost, I don't think. Scott said after today, the top 8 is disappearing fast. Ash says, hello. Hello, Ash. How are you? I imagine not very good. Dan says, can we make the 8? We are a 5th to 9th team. Matt says, smallest starting back row in the comp. Teagan and Nicker are running into gaps, look flash, but we lack size and impact in defense and attack. Our pack got monstered in the second half. Yeah, that's interesting. We do lack size sometimes, and I thought that bench today was... I'm with the other listener viewer. Where were they? Anonymous 1234. When I saw that bench, I was like, that's a smaller bench. But Anonymous says this: I hope we can cling to 5th or at least 6th and get a home final. Oh, don't start the home final talk, my friend. So my big brother's in touch, and he says, my nephew Thomas, who I love and adore, says part of the problem is we have 2 hookers in the field for 80 minutes, Brayley and McInnes. Yeah, I mean, are you talking body shape? Because he hasn't been a hooker for a long time. And I actually thought he was making some good runs today. But you're looking for a different shape, I'm guessing, Thomas. That's 2. That's 3 disappointed Shinazzis. Throwing my dad, my son. There's a lot of disappointed Shinazzis running around. Lush says, trying to be neutral, looking at our final run of the finals. Yes, we can make the 8. I'm calling 7th or 8th. Let's be real. We are still yet to beat the Dolphins. It's going to be a wildly difficult few months ahead. See, I appreciate that, Lush. Some honesty, but it's not crazy. It all kind of makes sense. I feel like I'm only wearing black, but I'm not. I'm wearing like this Sharks hoodie. And Avocado Shark says, I can't see the plan for Atkinson. 25 minutes, 6 tackles, no run. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going on there. Anonymous1234 says, I know it was disappointing, but come on, saying we should cut off Hines, Romeo McInnes, etc. It's a bit of a stretch. Yeah, it is a bit of a stretch, but we're entitled to. People are entitled to have their say. I'm with you. I think it's a stretch. I don't think next year we blow up the team, but I think there's a bit of change. Our friend Jacqueline is here and saying we should have won the Tigers game, Brisbane game, Roos game, Bulldogs game, Warriors game, Canberra game. Maybe we actually aren't that good. Oh, Jacqueline. Yeah, I gotcha. I hear what you're saying. Well, Tigers game, yes. Brisbane game, yes. Roosters game, no, because they thoroughly outplayed us. Bulldogs, halftime, probably not. Warriors, halftime, probably not. Canberra game, yes. So maybe if we take some of those games out of what you're saying, we can still stick by that. Jerick says, we got the attack. It's simple. Just go out, all out in D. I want to see more shots put on, more aggression. Yeah, I'm with you there. With potentially the best name in the history of the world, Grunge Meister Fuzz says 10 minutes of 12 on 13 burn out too much Sharks energy. We held on, but the Broncos came back. Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. I was wondering about that. I was wondering if that stint kind of affected us. We have two guests who are going to join us. I'm going to bring in the first one first. And I've already been talking about the Sharks with him for a long time. This is going to be funny. So Ash, just hang on a sec. Here comes our man, Dan. Dan, I've got a lot of explaining to do to you, my friend. And I'll do it on an open forum with thousands of people listening and watching. So to summarize, Dan was kind enough to let me come on to his live stream. He's been doing live streams lately where you basically talk over the game. You don't commentate on it because we don't do that. And also it's not legal, but you just have reactions to the live game. You've been doing it excellently, you and Terry. And Terry was unavailable, so I jumped on today. And I had a lot of fun. Actually, it was way more fun. I don't know what I was expecting, but it was way more fun. However, when things went pear-shaped, my world went pear-shaped, literally. And the whole time I was like, Dan's going to think I'm having some sort of hissy fit because the Sharks are about to throw the game, and he just disappeared. And so I didn't know what had happened. But what had happened is somehow someone had turned off literally the internet in my house. And so I flicked it back on, but for whatever reason, it took ages. So I actually missed the final try, couldn't start the live stream, missed out on your... How are you? How are you feeling?
Oh, man, I just went on the mother of all rants on the other show. Anyone that missed it, no, thank you for joining, Matt. I knew it was internet issues. Please don't be worried. Do you want to catch me up on what after we get to another guest on what's been said? Because I had some thoughts, Shinazzi, but I don't want to.
Yeah. I'm happy for you to talk about anything you want. The thoughts are, before we bring in Ash, the thoughts are a lot of issues with the bench, the small bench, and therefore the coach who picked that, and also the playing of them at the same time, small bench. There's a fair bit of criticism for both halves separately, and a lot for the coach. That's the main thing. Let's bring in Ash, and Ash knows the rule, no swearing. How are you, Ash?
Hey,
what's
guys.
going on, man?
Not much, mate. Just getting over the flu, which I pretty much lost my voice during the week. So just getting over it. Pretty much recovered, but yeah, just trying to get my voice back. But nah, look, disappointing game. But obviously, I know no swearing. But all I'm going to say is that first half, it's a shame we couldn't do that in the second half. But look, I know some of the boys had a good first half and a disappointing second half. But look, all I'm going to say is it was good to see Nico get on the try board today, which is good after a while. But no, like, it was a good game first half from most of the boys, even though the Sione brain snap, I won't talk about that. I'll just let you guys talk about that. But look, all I'm going to say is get your tickets to Melbourne, support the boys, be the extra man, get down, support the club. It's a one-off game. Go to Melbourne, support all the boys. They really would love to see you down there. Be the extra man. Tickets still available. Just get down and support the club. They would love to see you down there. Just buy your tickets, book your hotel, go down for the weekend. Just do it.
All right. Appreciate you, Ash. I wish it was
Thank you.
easy, my friend, but I appreciate it. No, thank you.
I know.
Thank you for
It's okay.
for listening and tuning in. I hope you feel better. Are you on the mend?
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, I'm on the mend yet. Before I go, I'm going to mention
Yes.
it again. Like I mentioned, SharkCast, voice of the fans.
Okay. Beautiful. We'll appreciate
Thanks.
that.
Thanks, Sam. Cheers,
talk-
Ben. Thank you, guys. Cheers. Talk soon.
Talk
Thank
to you soon, man.
Bye.
Absolutely. No worries.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. That was Ash. Ash wants us all to go down to Melbourne. Some of us are, some of us aren't. I think the people who may choose not to go down to Melbourne might be the people that went to Brisbane and went, why did I go to Brisbane? Dan, always great to hear from Ash, of course, one of the OG listeners of our show. What the hell happened in the last 20 minutes there?
Brisbane running downhill, and as I've said before, Cronulla are a team that are good with momentum but can't wrestle it back. You're going to hear the name Nicho Hynes a lot in the next week. His first half was so good. The first 15 minutes of the second half was so good. Then when the going got tough, he falls over, knocks the ball on. The one I have an issue with, and you dropped out just as this was happening, is there, I think it was the second last, it might have even been their last try. We turned and hugged a bloke who was never getting the ball. They ran straight past him and Reece Walsh puts it over and they score. His last 25 minutes is exactly what we feared and exactly what I've been defending him against. Not that I feel I should or need to, but my thoughts were different to a lot of people in that he was a good halfback and that he can get us home. Today is a real argument that he can't and he's not. Not that we would have been in the game without him, but when the going got tough, Nicho Hynes went missing and was responsible for 3 of the worst plays of the day. I don't think anyone can forgive that fall over, that lack of effort. That was the better of the 2 efforts because the one where he just hugged the bloke and watched Walsh go in and set up the winning try, I believe, was just downright unforgivable to the point where, mate, if Fitz wanted to send a message, he'd name Atkinson next week at halfback and tell Nicho, well, you got a calf, mate. You need a week off. You got to get right. We're not paying you $1 million to fall apart with the game on the line. Again, I don't want to overreact, but, mate, how much more can we see him defend a bloke who can't get us home in close games and actively was probably the worst player on the field in that last 15 minutes?
Yeah, I mean, the problem there that's bigger, Dan, if you go along with that storyline, is that he's signed until 2029, and that's a long time away.
The 100% issue is that he signed on big money for that long. Now, I'm not saying we need to do this, but the Bears coming in is the only out we're going to get. I don't know if I'd be looking at it because I'm Nicho's one of his biggest fans, but today makes it tough for people like me who will go in later, because that's the kind of person I am, and try and argue with people in the Facebook group, and they're going to turn around and say that last 25 minutes. You know what I'm going to say? You got me.
Yeah, I'm going to watch back that last 20 later on again, but the defensive, the one where they thought it was an obstruction, I mean, I think it made him look worse than what it was. He was falling already and then threw out the arms. So I don't think he necessarily took the dive or anything, but I think once he was gone, he realized and did the, hey, don't do that. So it made it look worse. And it was obviously a try given. And then he was made to look pretty silly in the replays and that kind of thing. Again, that's not me sticking up for him. I'm just saying that, like, I don't think he just took a dive. I think he was falling for whatever reason or whatever, or the guy nudged him and he was falling, couldn't make the tackle, so threw out his arms hoping for the best, which is probably, to be honest, what you should do if you're trying to stop the try and you've got no chance of stopping it. However, poor last half an hour. Trindle, I thought, wasn't great in the last half an hour either. Some couple of errors there that really turned the momentum. Trindle is on a shorter contract for slightly less money. So I understand why he won't maybe get the same headlines. But are you saying, Dan, that the last half an hour or last 20 minutes, one guy was responsible, or it was more like he was the most responsible out of a bunch of guys?
Definitely not saying he's the one responsible, because I could name 6. I do have to point out, though, that he's $1 million halfback who, hey, don't get me wrong, if that was just a one-off, you're like, he's got overrun, he was tired, etc. But it's starting to be a pattern, and good coaches see that. They run at you early, they take advantage late on. Look, if he wasn't on $1 million, you're not having this discussion. But the fact is, he is, and he signed for the next 4. He's the face of the club. No, he's absolutely not for 1 second the reason why we lost that game, but he was a big reason why we lost that game. Sure. Another player who, I jumped in late, sorry, because I was doing my own thing. Will Kennedy today, 2 blistering moments of just brilliance. 2 moments of why are we paying this guy. Mm-hmm. For me, not for the podcast, for me, his papers are stamped. He's done. Not this year, because he's our best option. We're not re-signing him. We can't re-sign him. One, we don't have any money, and 2, I wouldn't make money available. Liam Eisen, if you need an ACL, I got 2, and I'm not doing anything. I can barely get upstairs anyways. You can have mine. You're our round 1 fullback next year if you're fit.
Well, we're following that pretty closely, that storyline, because we don't know. We don't know much about that. We tend to think that he will get the deal, but I mean, yeah, we don't know much about that. So, Bertie said the Jets won 24-12, and the future Chris Vela got sent off.
Yeah, so those that didn't see it, I was kind of watching. Vela pushed out with a foot. It was referred to as a stomp. It was more of a kick out, and Casey Badger sent him off just before halftime. The Jets actually won the second half, 12, something in the nil. They were amazing. Now, that team was minus, obviously, Burns and Puru. Atkinson should be there, but whatever. Tukes wasn't anywhere to be seen. I don't know what's doing with him. They were way down on players against the team they beat last year in the grand final. Don't forget, that's the Storm feeder team. Now, they were missing a few too, but they were at more strength than we were. To win with 12 men at North Sydney is humongous. So that's a huge plus. Go the Jets.
Lush said the worst thing about Nico's dive is the amount of other defenders who stopped and did the same thing. Arms out, stopping play while the Broncos ran through. So, yeah, that's not good either. That's not good. Bertie did say an overreaction from Casey Badger about the Chris Vela send-off, so we'll wait and see on that one. What did you make of Hohepa Puru?
I thought he was fantastic. Like, he couldn't have done anything more. That one play that was brilliant where he stuck his foot out and stopped them scoring what looked like a pretty obvious try. Then to run the ball out. He ran hard. He tackled like a monster. He played more in the middle than we thought he perhaps should have because of other decisions. Mate, if he's not on the team list next week, he should be on the team list next week. He was fantastic.
Now, let's talk as intelligently as we can about the Dan Atkinson situation. So let's take, again, I don't like saying this because my whole thing is about the emotion, but let's take the emotion out of the story. And let's just talk about it from a football point of view, purely only. So let's forget about we lost and all this sort of stuff. Dan Atkinson has featured on our bench more often than not as a middle relief, but also knowing he can play halves, he can play all over the shop. We get that. If the coach is looking for someone similar, in addition to a Hohepa, in addition to a Sifa who's usually on the bench, would it make sense to bring in a Beryl who can play hooker and lock and excel at those two positions? But then, you know, if something goes down in the halves, Blake can go to the halves. There's all those things you can do. Would it make sense because Beryl is at least a chunky little dude who can make meters? And to be fair, Dan, I don't think... Let me have a look. He missed 1 tackle, made 4 tackles. Okay, but Beryl's very solid. He's been in the system. He knows it. He knows it inside out. Would it make more sense to have a guy like him be the Atkinson instead of Atkinson?
Yes, like so much more. It should have been Colquhoun should have been that player, then Hohepa Peru, then Beryl, then Atkinson. That's how far down. I said the other week, and I'll repeat it here in case anyone new's listening. He's on there purely as if something goes wrong. He's a utility. But we threw him on at centre, and he got bodied by Stephen Crichton and stood up and embarrassed. We put him on at the wing, and he got jumped 3 times by Xavier Coates. He's not good enough at anything to justify that position. It is, I think it's laziness from Fitzgibbon. I genuinely think it's, I'll just put him on if something goes wrong. You got to think. Talakai can cover centre. Billy Burns can cover centre if needed. It's not ideal, but he can do it. Don't forget, Britton Ikora played centre for a little while. He went in not by choice. We had to go there when players have been injured. Ronaldo's got plenty of centre in his history, so he can go in and someone else can go to the wing. Like an Hero can go to a wing and the other side can shift on a full. Dan Atkinson isn't in my top 20. I have no answer as to why he's getting picked. I think, honestly, Fitz remembers those couple games where he was breathtaking last year. But it was as a halfback when there were no other options and he had to stand up. That's what Atkinson does best. If one of the halves got injured and Atkinson would get picked, I have no problem with that. He's our best in that position. But today we saw Teague Wilton got injured and Jesse Colquhoun played left back row and was fantastic. So the rotation was mixed up. Toby Rudolph, for all I love, isn't a big minute player, and neither's Hamlin Ueli. You've got to have a plan for everything. Atkinson's not a plan for anything. It's getting to the point now that, honestly, if he's named over Hohepa Peru this weekend and other players come back, I'm straight up saying Fitzgibbon isn't the guy because he's just – how many chances do you need to make the right decision? Today, Kafusi was injured and we had to name Peru. Peru's come in and excelled. He's outworked Atkinson threefold because he's a bigger bloke and that's his position. If he goes back and Atkinson maintains his spot next week, I'm not going to be able to come on shows like this because I'm not going to be able to say what I want without getting bleeped off the thing. I can't believe that we're still talking in round whatever this is about Dan Atkinson being picked.
Yeah.
Because it's not even like, oh God, Trindle's leaving next year, so we need Atkinson to get minutes. He's not going to be at the club next year. Put Beryl in. Put Beryl playing at 13 where he tackles his backside off. He's got a kicking game. He can do stuff. Mate, I'm getting frustrated. I've got no answer for you at all. No.
So my brother says it's got – and we love Gerard Beale. He's a premiership winner, but he said it's got Gerard Beale written all over it. I think that in the weeks where I have certainly not defended the choice of Atkinson as a middle because I just don't believe it's a positive thing. But wherever I've sort of pushed away from it because we got the win or it didn't affect the game, I think today you can see where – and he's not alone. It's not because of Atkinson, but the fact that he was on with 2 other smaller guys in the middle and you've got this beast just running at you all day, not to mention the other guys in the pack who are really good for the Broncos. That's when today I can go, yeah, there's got to be someone better to do that role because today the middle in the last 20 minutes easily cost us the momentum, which cost us the game. Now, there's the argument, well, maybe they didn't miss the tackles. It's like, yeah, I get all that. But they made all the energy down the middle. It went down the sides. They score. That's how footy works. So today, I think, is a very good example for, and I think I've said it already at the show, is for all the Atkinson, or even if you just want to call it small body middles, not to have too many on the bench. If you want to take the guy out of the situation, today's a very good example of why it doesn't work. Jay Rich says we're at the point of the season to risk some change. Roll the dice. I don't mind that. It's not, but I think there'll become a time where if this keeps trending, I don't think you'll have much of a choice. Marky Mark says Billy Burns should have had Acco's spot. He showed in the Manly game he's got a good short kicking game, soft hands, and he actually makes some meters through the middle. Yeah, I think Burns has done enough to absolutely take a position like that. I think you could go a Burns, you could go a Puru, you could go a Beryl. But much, I think, like you, Dan, I wouldn't be going two smaller guys on a bench, and particularly when you have a Talakai on there usually, and we know he's the toughest man that ever lived, but he's still a small body. You need some giant guys every now and then. Man, how much are we missing Tom Hazelton?
Oh, massive. It all started. He and Fanil Blake have got to start. Then you got to have Toby and whoever coming off the bench. Then you have your back rower, who is Talakai, and then you chuck your Colhoun or your Puru in. But I think Colhoun today proved how undroppable he is. Not that there's any discussion that he would, but I've seen some people say at full strength, you got to go. Kafusi shouldn't get back in that side. You can't carry him, Ueli, and Toby because they're the same player. You can't add Tom. You can't hold four of them. You need two giants. You need two big players. And I know Kafusi was supposedly injured late, so Puru came in as there. And I guess Tukes isn't around, but because he didn't play any football this weekend. But to look and say you got Billy Burns there, who has been in really, really good form, or you got Dan Atkinson, who hasn't. And I'm not blaming Atkinson for 1 second. People think I don't like the bloke. I don't like how he's being used. I like the bloke. One, he's a great person. Two, he was a great for us last year. But in the role, I don't see how a coach who's a first-grade coach can go, let's go with Atco. I can't get past how frustrating this last month has been. Don't forget, we've had one win in 4 games plus a bye or whatever it was. And that was a Dragons team who led us at half-time and we only ran them down because they were really, really bad. Like, if there aren't, and you can't make any more changes because we're out of troops now, but there's one change you can make this week, and it's the one that we've been calling for 15, 16 weeks.
So just jumping over to the Insta, who we love, all our friends over there. We have Kev saying Toby at 13 could give us more punch through the middle. Absolutely. Although I don't think he's a big minute guy, as you said at the moment, Dan. I don't Kev also, no, I don't hate it either. Kev also said we're not going to win a comp with this current spine, and you people are just ripping my heart out right here. Andy said, and we can talk about this, Dan. He said, what about the captain's challenge? And then we don't have one for the Ronnie knock on in the 52nd minute. So I think that was a knock on in the 52nd minute. So I think you lose that challenge, Andy, personally. But if you were watching the live stream that Dan was hosting, Brayley went for the first minute captain's challenge, and myself and Dan were very like, what the hell's he doing? This is the worst thing ever. And then he won it. We should never doubt Blake Brayley is the answer. But then what was the one we lost it on? Was it
Kennedy?
Kennedy. Yeah, then Kennedy had one really soon and we lost it. So I think that's what Andy's referring to. And I think you got to be smarter in those moments. You really do. But I think we would have lost that one in the 52nd minute, Andy, just personally. Hello to everyone who's on the Insta. Everyone's joining. That's awesome. Jay says, I think some of the squad coming off contract at the end of 26, you could re-sign half and allow some of the young kids to come through that we have now into the first grade squad. I guess he's talking about at the end of 2026. You missed it. We had, I think, our friend Steve, who you've met online. Steve is calling for Pollard to come in. And I said, well, hey, just hang on a second there. But that's how frustrated Steve is. So I respect that. George says, what's that?
So Oregon Kafusi's off contract in 2 years. Wish it was sooner.
Dude, half the team's off contract.
They are, but he's the one that I would be saying we're not re-signing you. Felix Tilly's coming through. Cam McInnes off contract. I'm swapping him with Sam McCulloch. There's a few others there. Pollard by that stage, he needs another year. So he's flag eligible. So he's still very young. I don't mind the shout because I really love him. And there's 3 off like Michael Gabriel for Ramian. I'll do a full rundown on Finns on the changes I'd make, but yeah, I agree with that 100%. No more of these 10-year deals for players that don't deserve them. That's the main take here.
Or the players that do still deserve it because they win Dally M awards by record margins, just make it 5 years, not 10. That's all.
Yeah, and I was more Hammer and Nueli, but yes.
George says, when will Fitzy give up on the Hines Trindle combination. I don't think it'll be just yet. Jay said Ramian and guys like that might be under pressure after 26 when you look at Vela, Gabriel, and the two other fellas who played State of Origin under 19s. Now, those two guys, Nakora Williams, and who was the other chap that played? Do you know his name, Dan?
I was hoping it's Sayun something. Oh,
Yeah,
I butchered
he's
that.
a talented young fella. There's legitimately, as Jay says, there's 4 young centers who, if you even pick 2 of the 4, you're going to be okay. So they are a little bit down the track there. That's the only problem with competitions like that and the NRL. There's a waiting time. Now, Jay also wants Vela in this week, but we're not sure what's going to happen there because he was sent off.
It's not happening.
I call him Big because that's his name. Our big friend Paul. He said Fitzy has to wear this one. Paul from the coach's box, playing Atko Puru Brother in the middle and getting the doors blown off. That was a poor choice. Puru played his role. Josh Bolling has joined. And Paul says, you can't tell me that Burns wouldn't have been a better choice off the bench than Atkinson. A lot of people are joining. Tim says, has Craig Fitzgibbon ever dropped anyone? Well, I think he dropped Dan Tiro Moylan. Jay would like to know, Dan, who would you re-sign at the end of 26, the people who are off contract? So that might be a fins up kind of, you think about it and do it on fins up during the week.
The only one I would rush to re-sign is Jesse Colquhoun. Everyone else has to earn it. But yes, absolutely.
Okay, so hello to everyone on there. Oh, man, Sharks lose 34-28. So what are you saying? We've won one of the last 4 games. Is that right?
Yeah, we lost to the Roosters, then we lost to whoever beat us after that. Then we beat the Dragons, and then we lost today. So we're 1 from 4, and that win was, that's it. Laney Setu, sorry.
Thanks, Birdie.
It wasn't a great win. There you go. The form's not good.
Yeah. My brother's asking what happened to Jackson Ferris. I believe he's playing in the local competition.
Yeah,
he fell away.
He fell away, unfortunately. He did go to Manly, played for Blacktown. Actually came back for a few games as a Newtown contracted. But a few knee injuries, is that right? Yeah, he did. He remember he made his debut and was breathtaking against the Broncos.
He was.
And then did his knee and never could get right, unfortunately. It's a sad tale. What a man.
Now, this is a great point from J. Rick. J. Rick says, we can talk about the future, but we've got to focus on this year. He's saying Atko out, sort the bench, put a spark up them. Maybe a drastic dropping would do that. I'm not sure. So it sounds like J. Rich wants to make a few changes to shock the system, but kind of keep it as is. I do like the way that J. Rick is thinking, Dan, in the sense that we can't just give up in round 15 or 16. I understand people are saying the window is closing, if not closed. I've got a little bit of jar because I'm a dreamer, but I don't think we can just give up.
No, not at all. And it's not that. The changes improve us straight away. I go back to where Colquhoun was playing New South Wales Cup and Dan Atkinson was named. Colquhoun's just better in that role. He's just a better player. He's better for the future. Yeah. He's better for now. Again, you go back to, Puru for Atkinson was an obvious change. But you look at Hamlin, Uwelli, and Kafusi. Colquhoun's better than both those guys right now. And he has been for months. We need to drop someone, but we can't. We can't drop Ramian because there's no one there. And Vela's the next bloke up and will get suspended. Michael Gabriel can't get fit. And the bloke playing on the other side just isn't up to it. You can't drop a forward because we got none left. I 100% agree. There needs to be Craig Fitzgibbon drop Moylan because Moylan couldn't walk, and that was kicking and screaming. He only brought Ero in because we got blasted by the Tigers and everyone was saying, do something, and he brought the bloke in who should have had 10 games to his name. He only brought Stone Street in because Katoa and Ronaldo kept getting injured and suspended, etc., etc. He only brought Colquhoun in because Tom got injured. He only brought Puru in because Kafusi got injured. He hasn't dropped anyone. He hasn't sent a message. That's what people I can tell are getting frustrated about. And that's what I've been bleating on for about 12 months now. There doesn't seem to be that, you know what, you're out of form. Go play a week New South Wales Cup. Even Anthony Seibold, who I maintain is nowhere near the level of Craig Fitzgibbon in terms of coaching, has dropped a whole heap of players back. A couple of weeks ago, we had the Bayern Newtown play. We didn't drop anyone back. We sat Billy Burns out for the week and wouldn't let him play for Newtown. We saw today, Jersey Flegg ran out for Newtown, which, you know, you have to, the way it sort of fell. But everyone should be playing at their level. And Braden Hamlin-Uele should have a few more games in New South Wales Cup. I can't believe Toby didn't come through there. You know, Atkinson should be playing New South Wales Cup for 15 weeks now. He needs to send a message, but the injuries are just too far now. Because Tom should be there and Uele or Kafusi should be playing New South Wales Cup. He needs to come out and he needs to be a coach. He needs to send a message and say, this isn't good enough. I know in the press conference he says it is. If he believes that, he's not a coach. He's not the bloke for us. Go coach Go coach the Titans. They put up with that filth. We don't. People are getting frustrated because we have this team that are one game away from a grand final. We added Adam Fanua-Blake. Sam Stone Street was coming through. Hohepa Puru was signed, which was a brilliant signing. We were wrapping that from the start. Jesse Colhoun's the next man up. You know, you got Vale and Gabriel nipping at the heels. All these blokes, I know for a fact that someone I mentioned before spoke to Newcastle last week because he can't get a game at Cronulla. I know another bloke was linked to Cronulla and told Newcastle and told to go away. Full disclosure, they've signed Lockie Crouch, which is, you know, it's a shame to lose him in the system, but you can't keep them all. These players are going to start looking elsewhere and think, oh, geez, my position chance isn't here. I'm going to go elsewhere. And we're going to sit here. Sam Stone Street will score 100 tries for the Bunnies next week. And we'll be like, what are we doing with this 5'4" winger who tackles blokes 7 meters offside? What are we doing? Like, oh, mate, I'm getting so frustrated thinking about.
Can I say that I was super surprised about the Lockie Crouch signing?
We can't
because people high up in that club were Lockie Crouch fans. So I don't know what they offered him. I don't know. I mean, I'm imagining it's not like the world, but also I was under the impression they wanted to keep him. So
he's probably said, I'm not what happened. And his manager has said, what do? You can't hold this kid back forever. And they probably said, you're right. I guarantee you there's 3 or 4 players that have very similar feelings right now, and I wouldn't be shocked to start losing them. So people are going to say in a minute, I've seen some of the comments say, why don't we just offload players? Who in the competition is going to take Oregon Kafusi? Who's going to want Hamlin-Uele for anywhere near his full strength? We are stuck now unless we go and say, look, Toby Rudolph's got a market. I'd be saying, you know, I think he and Tom are very similar. You can keep one. You know, Jack Williams is a player I would have moved heaven and earth to keep. I know people are worried about his hands, but whatever. He's playing better football than any of the blokes we mentioned. It's going to have to be a risk. We're going to have to say, okay, Ramian, go to the Titans or something. It's going to have to be a risk coming because we cannot sit with this current squad because players are going to leave because they're not getting the opportunity. It's as simple as that. It's good shout.
I also think that, Dan, that I know everyone's focused on the coach and how much he loves the current squad, but I don't necessarily see, for example, a bunch of our three quarters at the club when they're 33 years old. I just don't. That would not make any sense at all. I could see an argument for him to go, they've been together for a while, I'm going to keep them for another year or two. I don't think long term, I don't think a bunch of those guys, I think they'll be moved on, which happens at most clubs. And I think the oldest of them might be Jesse Ramian, then maybe Katoa. But I think, I don't think it's a done deal that they're going to be lifers at the Sharks, particularly in those positions, because in those positions, you can't really stay in the one club your whole playing life, more or less. You become a little bit, your body ages. Like Jesse Ramian's a great footballer, but he's not going to be what he was when he was 25, when he's 30. He can go do that somewhere else, with all respect. And I'm not picky on Jesse. I'm just saying it's how it works a lot, So I do think there is hope for new blood coming in, but I think we're just now in this awkward position where we're like, we want to do really well this year. It's sort of falling away a little bit. How do you flick the switch? this year, then you have to think long term as well. And the contract situation is quite interesting. The fact that a whole bunch of them are off at the same time, it's a little, I don't know if it's unusual, but it's going to create something, whether it's a problem or whether it's a good thing out of it. I'm not sure. Wait and see.
So Sam, so there's a few player managers that are pretty smart. They're all off contract when the Bears come in. It's similar to a lot of clubs. We're going to lose players, but would you rather lose a Jesse Ramian or a Michael Gabriel? Because you probably can't keep them all. And I'd be saying to the Bears, take Ramian. I'm keeping Gabriel.
That's what I mean. You said it much more succinctly than I could. I think that he will play a really important role at a different club, and whether it's him or someone else, I'm not sending him off. I'm saying one of those guys, 2 or 3 of those guys throughout the club, if not more, 4 or 5, at some point soon will be told there's a contract waiting for you interstate. You'll have a nice house. You'll have a nice contract. You'll be expected to play really well and also influence the guys coming through. And that's just how it works, you know.
It's not even about that. Like, if you drop Jesse Ramian back for a week, you're not saying you're done. You're sending a message that what he's produced isn't good enough. And it's only that we're talking about Ramian. I don't specifically mean him. But there are so many players in that squad who should have played for Newtown when we had the bye. There should have been so many players who should be sat down. Like, if you, well, not you specifically, if someone was to tell me that Kafusi got dropped and they've just said, he's got an injury, I would be like, good, because he should have been dropped 6 weeks ago. But the fact that it's taking these injuries to drag him kicking and screaming, that's the frustration. Like, okay, if you put Gabriel in there and he gets burnt and he sucks, so be it. Nothing lost. Sitting on Jesse Ramian right now, and again, it's just using that because it's an easy.
Yeah.
These players need to fear their positions. None of them do. The only changes that have been made have been enforced. And I thought Stone Street was doing real well. It turns out I'm the only one in the world. But Katoa's come back in and everyone's gone, seen how good he is. And then I've got 7 messages that like, you're right. He's bog ordinary. You got to re-sign Stone Street. Of course, it's week to week, and it's 100% emotion.
Yeah,
but we're going to lose good players long term for these blokes who he flatly refuses to drop.
So on that argument itself, like, you're not wrong. Stone Street was really good, and he got better each week. You're also not wrong because Katoa came back and he had 2 breakout games, and today was not a breakout game for him. But I think that debate is still open. Not for you. You're rusted on. You're his guy. I get it. Like, I'm not even being smart. Like, you believe in this guy more than anyone. So he should be in your team. But the problem with that argument is Sione is going to become one of those guys we're talking about, like Jesse, where in a few years' time, you get a bit slower, you get a bit older, and it'll be your time to probably go to another club and help out the wingers in another club and do your thing over there. And then you'd say to me, Dan, you'd be like, well, we should have kept Stone Street because now he'd be slotting. So that's where it all kind of becomes a bit of a problem. I do want to say Roger said Brayley should be captain. He wouldn't make mass changes. But they need a gun 14 to change momentum. And I think that's a really good point. Like, I know he's not on the weekend playing in that position, but the Melbourne winger who changed the game last night, what's the young guy, fullback winger guy? What's that guy's name? Farlongo. I know every club can't have a Farlongo, but imagine the old days when we had Michael Sullivan on the bench. I know it was only for a year or two where he was amazing, but that's where we need to sort of have a refresher, is what Roger's saying, like someone just to come on and just change the game. And I don't know if we're quite there at the moment. Our friend Pete says, I don't know what he meant about not being mean, but one way or another, we'll work it out of this slump. Dreaming is free. And then he promotes his band, which I don't know if it's Fundamentals or Blondie in the Flesh. Definitely Blondie in the Flesh, but Pete's a great drummer. And at Club East, which I believe is in Sutherland. There's some shows there, so go check out our friend Pete. Tell him that we sent you. Jay Rich said, if we weren't leaking so many points, you can justify not changing. Fitzy is the kind teacher that the kids walk all over, no consequences. I did want to say, I say this a lot of the time, and I say it to you a lot, Dan, but I don't want to break kayfabe too much here. And I'm not the guy's best mate, I promise you. But I do interact with the coach probably more than one might think. And again, it's not like we're drinking coffees and talking footy, but I have interactions with him. And the only thing that I'll probably am allowed to say about that, in the sense that he would put me in a jiu-jitsu headlock and do things to me if I say any more, is that he really bloody cares about this team and this club and the players. And I personally don't buy into the whole he gets walked over, he doesn't care, like he cares as much as anyone I've ever met. I know that's just empty words, especially after a loss like tonight. I'm not saying that he had a great coaching performance today. I'm just saying, like, he does care. It doesn't mean that he can coach them for the next 10 years, but he probably cares more than people let on. That's all I want to say. You don't have to say anything, Dan. Danny says, look to the Roosters for inspiration. Everyone was picking them bottom 9. They let older players leave. Believe in the youth. Look at them this year. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. The Roosters are going pretty good. They're sort of 2 weeks on, 1 week off, with a very young group. So Pete also says no free garlic bread at his gig this week. That's okay.
Oh, yeah.
If you want free garlic bread, go to the Royal Motor Yacht Club. Make sure you ask for manager Liam, and he might give you a free garlic bread. Corey says, oh, this is good. You might like this, Dan. If you had money, would you chase Connor Watson? So where would you see Connor Watson on our team, Dan? Would he be a starter?
Yeah, he'd start at 13 next year because
Right.
Cam's getting on. I love it. We can't afford a rep player. No
Origin
chance.
player,
I'm just putting together, trying to find some positivity. Keep talking, sorry, mate.
I feel like this is some sort of visual gag coming, but okay.
No.
There's nothing funny here, says Dan.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to head over to the Insta. And Tim says we need a game breaker at fullback, and Kennedy's not it. John said we're working our way into a shootout for the bottom 8. Oh, my God.
Wow.
Jay said... so I think Jay's watched the presser. Jay said Fitz was really unhappy with the team not fulfilling the game plan. He sounded frustrated. I don't know if that means a change or two, but that's what he sounded like. So thank you very much, Jay, for that. What else have we got here? He says at the end of 2026, most of the group will be 28 to 31, and that's the big issue. And also points out to us that Lockie Crouch was a Knights junior, so fair enough. He's gone back there. Hello to our friend Charlotte. Charlotte played prop today. I'm not going to remember the team she plays for, but Charlotte is a local rugby league legend, and she is one of 2 brilliant baristas in my local area at Mr. Paisley's. And Charlotte, Dan, who I don't think you've met, she is a really strong young woman, but we were trying to equate her to being a Sharks prop so she could understand what we were talking about. And we came up with the analogy of Danny Nutley because of the height thing.
Yeah.
Now, Charlotte's not short. She's just not tall like you would imagine a prop, but she's tough as nails. And I hope she had a good game, and I can't wait to get a coffee off her tomorrow. Jay says Ueli, Rudolph, and Kufusi should be 2 of those at least should be not signed beyond 26. they can look elsewhere, like Royce, if they get a contract elsewhere. Griffo's not happy. Squad fillers, our entire squad bar 1 or 2 are mediocre. And he says, we're talking about Jesse because he's big average. No, we're just talking about Jesse because he's a bit older than the other guys, played more games, coming off contract at some point, etc. But appreciate you, Griffo. How you going over there, Dan?
So I'm going to forget someone. You're going to be like, what about? But,
sure.
So this is the team I would build towards. You have to stay with me here. So people might not know everyone here, but there is so much talent coming through, right? That everyone should be excited, which is my frustration, because I think we should be leading the comp or close to it. So this is the team I would build towards. I'm not saying this is going to happen, etc., etc. But at fullback, you got Liam Ison. He's going to be a freak. He's just done his ACL. He's a year behind. People that'll call for Kade Dykes. He's just got too many injuries. Ison's further ahead, younger. On the wings, you got Ronaldo Mulatalo, and for me, it's Sam Stonestreet. You can pick Katoa if you want, but you're wrong. In the centres, Kaeliro is a rusted-on rep player. He'll play for whoever he wants. There are 3 nations chasing him right now. It says it all. And I think Michael Gabriel's the next one up. You can jump Chris Viola. You go straight to Gabriel. Now, in the halves, you can keep one of Hines or Trindle. I don't particularly care. And Riley Pollard's your number 6. Argue amongst yourselves. I don't care. Up front, has to be Fanua Blake and Big Bold Tom. I think they're your 2 weapons. I think they're your 2 best starters, best positions. Brayley at 9, that's obvious. Now, in the back row, you stick with Wilton and Nickera. I like what I've seen from both. That said, if you're going to lose one, it's probably going to be T. I think Nickera is your future captain. There's players coming through, etc., etc. And at 13, Sam McCulloch is so good. Like, everyone knows how big a Jesse Colquhoun fan I am. I think Colquhoun can play in the middle, which is why I'm going McCulloch at 13. And on the bench, you got Felix Falatilli, who is an Andrew Fafita clone, young, just bashing people for lols in Jersey Flag. Jesse Colquhoun, as I'm picking as a prop here, but can play anyway. Sifa Talakai. And then I put Hohe Papuru here. But if a player like Tyron Wishart was to come up, you put him there. Out of those, you can't tell me that team in 2 years' time isn't a premiership winning team. Of course, a lot's got to go right. Stonesuit's got to kick on. Pollard's got to kick on. They've all got to stay fit, etc., etc. There's excitement out there. But if 2 years' time you're naming Hamlin, Nueli, Kafusi, and Rudolph on the bench, just fold the club.
So let me, I don't want to fold the club. If you fold the club, what the hell am I going to talk about 5 days a week? Let me ask you, how far away are some of these guys, though? And I'll bring up one, for example, Felix Falatilli.
2 years. I think he's got to play a full year of New South Wales Cup before he gets in.
Okay, cool.
Liam Ison starts next year, round 1. Michael Gabriel, 2 years. Stone Street should start round 1 next year. Pollard, 2 years. McCulloch, 2 years. The rest of them can play now. That's the team I'm building towards. Not the team I'd name next week. That's the team that ultimately I think. Now, I'm keeping Hines over Trindle just because I think he's a little bit better player on his day. But whatever. Argue amongst yourselves, as I said. But that's the team that in 2 years' time, if we're running out, I'm feeling very confident. If we're missing Ison, Gabriel, Pollard, McCulloch, or Falatilli for the players I mentioned before, something's gone very, very wrong. And people will say, you always pick the young kids. I'm like 11 from 12. Come at me.
Who are you wrong about?
I'm trying to be humble and say I got one wrong. I can't remember offhand. There'd be someone.
I'm going to step in, Dan. We don't need the come at me. We don't do that on this show. We like everyone and everyone likes us, except for those that don't, and that's very obvious who don't. But no come at me, please. Just say, that's my team. Full stop. That's what you're saying. I don't want to tell you how to do your thing. You're a professional. You know what you're doing. But I don't want our listeners to feel like they're going to have to then fight you on things because that's not what we do. I think it's a really good team, man. And I'm glad you answered with a guy like Felix can't be thrown in next week. Not so much because he wouldn't pour his heart out for you, just that a bunch of those guys aren't ready. But they certainly show a lot of great signs. And I really honestly don't dislike that team at all. If that was the team in 2 years, you'd go, they'd be very, very competitive. I don't know about winning the comp, but I don't know about any team winning the comp. So that's not a negative. Roger says, on a positive night for you, I've got to watch Stick starring Owen Wilson. I look like Mark Maron. Yeah, I've heard that before. Chuck a microphone in front of anyone, though. They look like Mark Maron. I will check it out, though. Thank you very much, Roger. Appreciate that. Hope you're well. Now, we are going to wind down because I want to go watch the Sharks lose in slow motion. Dan, what happened in the NRL dub that you know of?
So I'm just looking up my. That's a great shout. So the girls. So anyone that it's very,
we know Mark Merritt. We know him.
Look what a handsome gentleman. They were 12-0 down and had a 12-all draw, and there were no conversions. So 3 tries all. I'm going to go watch that and finish here. But look like a good hit out for the girls.
Okay. And that's on the Sharks website?
Sharks website. It was early, so I'm sure you can catch the replay, or it'll be on NRL.com somewhere along the line.
And the Jets won, and the flag team lost in Melbourne, correct?
They did. It was 18-14 or something, and then Melbourne scored like 40 unanswered points. They're missing both their centres, both halves, and about 4 forwards. So I wouldn't look. And Melbourne are leading the comp now, so not the greatest night, but they did pretty well.
Now, I want to say thanks to Matthew, who in this episode has subscribed to YouTube, and a bunch of other people have subscribed to whatever you listen to or watch us on. So whatever you're on, all we ask is a very quick like, follow, subscribe, whatever it is on your application. If it's YouTube, if it's Facebook, if it's Instagram, it's the whole thing. Just do that for us. It'll take 1 second of your time, but it helps us out a lot. And Dan, what can we expect from you this week as far as your media obligations go?
So Terry and I are getting together and doing Rugby League Outlaws tonight. It'll drop tomorrow. That'll be heated, and Fins Up will be no holds barred. And Terry hasn't said boo yet, so I'm looking forward to his thoughts. I got asked numerous times here and on the other one what I would do moving forward. I'll do that either then or during the bye week, so look out for that. And people will probably tell me I don't know what I'm doing in the Facebook group again, so there's always that to look forward to.
I love those people. All right. And why was Terry away without giving away too much personal information? He was supposed to do the live stream with you, and I stepped in, which I was very glad I did and happy to do it. But what's Terry's deal? Did he watch the game?
Yeah, I think so, judging by the messages that I haven't yet read. But he was just hanging with friends,
right.
Mate.
That's important. Very important. All right. We're going to wrap this up, Dan. Sharks lose 34-28. It's been fun hanging out with you on and off throughout the afternoon. Man, if I had a camera... my dream was that you could see what was happening on the camera, even though my whole world was melting down while the Sharks were melting down. It was just the most amazing synergy, just worlds colliding. And I was like, I'm having a real hissy fit right now, which no one can see or hear. But then I was like, oh, maybe Dan can see it. Oh, maybe I'm still live on his stream. Oh, I knew that I was gone, but it's been quite the afternoon, quite a lot of fun. And actually it had nothing to do, I have to point out, it had nothing to do with like weak internet. Someone just flicked the internet off for some unknown reason. So we'll get to the bottom of that. But Sharks lose 34-28. It's been a real pleasure and privilege to provide what we do on our side of it for you guys and girls. Appreciate everyone who tunes in. We'll have more throughout the week for you. And we'll try and work out what the heck happened up in Brisbane, and love to hear your thoughts. You know how to get in touch with us. You know where to follow us. You know where to find us. If for some strange reason you want to listen to this as an audio-only podcast as you go to sleep tonight, I'll have it ready for you at some point, and you can just go to sleep with Dan and I and who else was on? Corey and Ash and a bunch of people just wondering what happened today up at sunny Suncorp. Check out Dan. He's on Fins Up, and he is on Rugby League Outlaws. Check out everyone. Check out everyone's media. Everyone is awesome, and what is not awesome is the Sharks losing, and losing like they did today, 34-28. I'm going to leave with my monotone voice like this, up Cronulla. But you know what? Still the greatest club in the history of the world. I don't care what any of you say. The greatest club. Can't play the song, Dan. Cannot play it. Cannot play it. But we will say goodbye as I check out one last... Oh, this is nice. I'm going to throw this up. Roger said, thanks, Sam. Appreciate what you do for the Sharks fans. You're a legend, mate. Well, what I do, what our crew does, what Dan does, the other guys on the ET Stand podcast, the guys down at the club. I can't say Dave Riccio. All the other people who love the Sharks around the world. But, Roger, I appreciate you and your appreciation. So, up. We'll get them. Don't worry. We'll be back. I don't know when, but we'll be back. And I'm talking about the club, not me. No, we're back. Let's go get them. Melbourne. We did it last year. We've done it this year. Why not, Dan?
Why not?
As I stretch this out just even longer. Up. Talk to you soon. Let's go.